You know what's funny? Most people don't actually hate being rich. They hate saving money. And not because they're irresponsible, not because they're lazy, not because they don't get personal finance, but because their brain is wired against it. Think about it. Every time you decide to save money, you're not just making a financial choice. You're starting a quiet argument with your own brain. And your brain, it really doesn't like losing arguments. Here's the weird part. Saving money feels like loss, even though it's literally protection. You earn money. You see it. You imagine what it could do for you. Comfort, relief, freedom, enjoyment. Then someone says, don't touch it. Save it. And your brain goes, wait, for what? What? Because your brain doesn't understand the future the way you think it does, it understands now. Right now, hunger. Right now, comfort. Right now, relief. The future? That's vague. That's abstract. That's optional. So when you save money, your brain experiences it as giving something up today for a version of you that doesn't feel real yet. That's the first problem. Your brain is biased toward immediate rewards. It's called present bias, but you don't need the term to feel it. You feel it every time you say, I'll start saving next month. I deserve this right now. I'll make it back. Spending gives instant emotional feedback. Saving gives delayed emotional silence. No dopamine hit. No excitement. No visible reward. Just a number sitting there, doing nothing. And your brain hates doing nothing. Now let's make it worse. Because your brain doesn't just prefer spending. It actively distrusts saving. Why? Because saving feels like restriction. When you save money, you're telling your brain, we can't have everything we want. And your brain hears, something is wrong. Restriction triggers stress. Stress triggers urgency. Urgency triggers spending. That's why the tighter you try to control money without understanding yourself, the louder the impulse to break the rules becomes. That's not weakness. That's biology. Your brain evolved to survive scarcity, not spreadsheets. Thousands of years ago, saving resources too aggressively could actually be dangerous. You didn't know if tomorrow would come. So your brain learned this rule. Use what you have when you have it. Fast forward to today. The danger is gone, but the wiring stayed. So when you save money, your brain whispers, what if something happens? What if you need this? What if you're missing out? And that whisper is uncomfortable. Spending quiets it. That's why saving feels harder than earning. Because earning feels like progress. Saving feels like patience. And patience doesn't feel productive to the brain. Here's another thing nobody tells you. Your brain doesn't experience saved money as yours. It experiences spent money as yours. Once money is saved, it becomes untouchable, abstract, locked away. But money you're about to spend, that feels alive. You can imagine it becoming food, experiences, status, relief. Saved money has no story yet, so your brain struggles to value it emotionally, which is why people say things like, I know I should save, I just don't feel motivated, and Re7, because motivation follows emotion. And savings doesn't trigger emotion by default. Spending does. Now let's talk about something even more uncomfortable. Saving money feels like betting against your current life. When you save, you're quietly admitting, this version of my life isn't stable enough yet. And that can feel threatening to your identity. Especially if you work hard. Especially if you've struggled. Especially if you've finally reached a level of comfort. Saving feels like saying, I don't fully trust this. And nobody likes that feeling. So instead, the brain chooses optimism. I'll be fine. I'm smart. I'll figure it out. Optimism is cheaper than discipline in the short term. And the brain loves cheap solutions. Here's where it gets sneaky. The more unpredictable life feels, the harder saving becomes. Because when the future feels uncertain, the brain doubles down on present comfort. That's why people save less when stressed. Why financial pressure increases impulsive spending. Why anxiety and treat yourself behavior often show up together. Spending becomes emotional regulation. Saving becomes emotional deprivation, even if the math says otherwise. And here's the real kicker. Your brain doesn't see savings as freedom. It sees it as delayed enjoyment. Freedom is invisible until you need it. You don't feel the power of savings when nothing is wrong. You feel it when something breaks, when something changes, when something goes sideways. But the brain doesn't plan for invisible benefits. It plans for felt ones. So it resists saving, not because saving is bad, but because saving doesn't feel good yet. Now here's the shift most people never make. The problem isn't that your brain hates saving money. The problem is that saving money is framed wrong. If saving feels like punishment, your brain will rebel. If saving feels like loss, your brain will avoid it. But if saving feels like safety, like space, like relief in advance, everything changes. Because the brain doesn't hate saving. It hates uncertainty. And savings, done right, reduce uncertainty. The people who save consistently aren't more disciplined. They've just trained their brain to associate saving with control instead of deprivation. They don't think, I'm missing out. They think, I'm buying options. Options to say no. Options to walk away. Options to breathe. Once your brain links savings to power instead of restriction, the resistance softens. And that's the real secret. Saving isn't about fighting your brain. It's about reframing the meaning of money in motion. Because money spent is gone, but money saved is not stagnant. It's stored choice. And when your brain understands that, saving stops feeling like suffering and starts feeling like self-respect. So if you've ever wondered why saving feels so hard, why it feels unnatural, why it feels emotionally uncomfortable, it's not because you're bad with money. It's because your brain was never designed to care about a future it can't feel yet. But once you teach it what safety feels like, once you experience the calm that comes from margin, your brain doesn't hate saving anymore. It starts protecting it. And that's when everything changes.